From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, May the 20th, 2025. An IDF soldier was killed during fighting in northern Gaza yesterday. 22-year-old Sergeant Yosef Yehuda Hirak was reportedly hit by friendly fire while troops were working to map out a Hamas terror tunnel for demolition. The IDF said today that it eliminated the commander of Hamas's missile and rocket array in northern Gaza today, who planned and directed terrorist attacks toward IDF aircraft and launched UAVs, harming Israeli civilians. Saying additionally, over the past day, Israel's Air Force struck over 100 terror targets throughout Gaza. The leaders of the United Kingdom, France, and Canada issued a joint statement yesterday condemning Israel over its military activity in Gaza and claiming Israel was not letting enough aid into Gaza. Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron, and Mark Carney said Israel's announcement on Sunday that it would let a certain amount of aid into Gaza was wholly inadequate and called for a halt of military operations in Gaza. The three also did call on Hamas to release immediately the remaining hostages, but the focus of the letter was the humanitarian situation in Gaza, and while acknowledging the heinous attack on October the 7th against Israel and Israel's right to defend itself, the three leaders called the military response in Gaza wholly disproportionate. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu wrote in response by asking Israel to end a defensive war for our survival before Hamas terrorists on our border are destroyed, and by demanding a Palestinian state. The leaders in London, Ottawa, and Paris are offering a huge prize for the genocidal attack on Israel on October the 7th, while inviting more such atrocities. The Prime Minister stressed the war can end tomorrow if the remaining hostages are released, Hamas lays down its arms, its murderous leaders are exiled, and Gaza is demilitarized. No nation can be expected to accept anything less, and Israel certainly won't. The three leaders also warned of actions they would take against Israel, and today British Foreign Minister David Lammy said the UK would suspend its free trade agreement talks with Israel, among other measures. Israel's foreign ministry wrote in response to that, if due to anti-Israel obsession and domestic political considerations, the British government is willing to harm the British economy, that is its own prerogative. The British mandate ended exactly 77 years ago. External pressure will not divert Israel from its path in defending its existence and security against enemies who seek its destruction. Kogat, Israel's Defense Ministry's coordinator of government activities in the territories, said that 93 trucks carrying humanitarian aid entered the Gaza Strip today, following the recommendation of IDF officials and in accordance with the directive of the political echelon. The World Jewish Congress held its plenary assembly in Jerusalem this week, gathering Jewish leaders from across the globe. Veteran WJC head Ronald Lauder was re-elected president of the Congress and spoke in his keynote about the October 7th Hamas massacre and the all-out offensive on the mindset of the free world, he said, regarding the explosion of anti-Semitism here in the United States and around the world following the massacre. Lauder saying a new plan of action was needed to educate millions of children and to remove anti-Israel and anti-Semitic teachers and administrators from schools.
So today, let us all call for a Jewish revival based on education. Education, education, education.
Also at the plenary, which concluded today, Israel's President Isaac Herzog awarded Lauder with the country's Presidential Medal of Honor. And Lauder, together with U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee and World Jewish Congress Israel Regional President Sylvan Adams, presented a special Resilience Award to former hostages Tal Shoham, his wife Adi, and their children Yahel and Naveh, honoring their courage and survival in the face of unimaginable terror. Tal Shoham was held captive by Hamas in Gaza for 505 days, released back in February of this year. His wife and 2 children and 3 other family members, also abducted on October the 7th, were released a month later in November of 2023. The 58 hostages who remain held captive by Hamas in Gaza have now been held for 592 days. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, May the 20th. At 7 o'clock, Rabbi Elliot Cosgrove and Rabbi David Wolpe discuss the Jewish landscape post-October the 7th. At 8, Justin Pine speaks with Rabbi Tamar Elad-Appelbaum, founding rabbi of the Zion community in Jerusalem and co-founder and head of the Israeli Rabbinic Seminary at the Shalom Hartman Institute in Jerusalem. At 9, it's Kenneth Brander on L'chaim. At 10, it's Good Week, Israel. At 10:30, an encore of the news. And coming up next, the ILTV's Insider. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, May the 20th, 2025. I'm Teisha Bader. Am Yisrael Chai.